Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com. Over the years, a lot of people always say to me, hey Mark, what do you recommend for, my first watch? I'm looking for XYZ specifications. Where would you go? What would you look at? What models would you recommend? And I figure let's do a video that kind of delves into that. So whether you're just starting out or whether you've been fishing around for a while, I'm going to present to you 5 different models, brands mostly, but 5 different models that you can check out. All divers, because simply it's the most popular genre of watch out there. I'm actually wearing 2 divers today. Price points around $200 to $400, all offering different things. Some smaller brands, and then a couple of much larger brands. You can see what you get for different prices at different brand, notorieties or brand levels. It's gonna be a lot of fun. For my own wrist check, I am wearing, we had a lot of Rangemaster craziness this week, so I was actually wearing my TGV Squale collab piece, the Lion Shark, which came out, I don't know how many years ago. I don't know, is it 4 or 5 years ago? So I wore that for good luck this week. And then on my other wrist, another collab, an Islander or Island Watch collab that I did with Spinnaker. This is that sold out purple dial that I simply adored and had to have. So that's what's on my wrist. Let's see which one of these 5 watches might soon be on your wrist. I'm gonna start out with definitely the smaller brands of the bunch and finish with the 2 larger ones. So you can see what the smaller brands give you and then compare that to what you get with the larger brand with heritage or this and that or advertising and marketing, whatever you wanna call it. But keep in mind, smaller brands without heritage, give them 50 years. If they're still around, they will have heritage. So that's my little slogan. So first we're gonna start off with a Phobus Voyager. So Phobus is a great micro brand, came on the scene, I don't know, 5, 7 years ago. I've been carrying them for probably 4 years at this point. They make a whole slew of models. The Voyager comes in like 5 awesome colors. I picked, by the way, all the watches I've picked have different colored dials, just to kind of spice it up a bit. But the Voyager itself comes in like yellow, blue, green, black, white, really nice. So Voyager. Voyager is, you're gonna notice a common theme probably on all these watches, most of them actually, powered by a Seiko NH35 movement. It is a 39 millimeter case, which might make this, I believe, the smallest of the bunch. 13.5 thick, 45 on your lug to lug. It is a slightly domed sapphire crystal. You can see that there. It is a 20 millimeter lug. It is solid end links. It is solid links. It is sized with screws. It is a beautiful logoed clasp. It is water resistant to 200 meters, and it does have a ceramic loomed bezel. It is marked in dual time. So since this video is kind of geared towards mostly beginners, I guess, I'll just talk briefly about some of the things that that I just glossed over quickly. So automatic movement. So hand winds and hacks means you can wind it with the crown. You unscrew the crown, you can wind it up. It'll run for about 40 hours. Hacks means when I pull up the crown to set the time, the seconds hand stops. See that? One click out will change the date. You notice the date is color matched. Pretty cool, nice little detail. So an automatic movement will run with the movement of your wrist. There's a little weight in the back. I don't think any of the watches I'm going to show you. One of them does. One of them's got a little counterbalance. There's a little weight in the back that kind of spins around and it winds up the watch for you. So as long as you wear it every day, it will continue to run. If you take it off for more than about 2 days, it will stop and you have to wind it. Accuracy on most automatics, depends on what you're doing, depends on who you're listening to, but I would say, 15 seconds a day is what you kind of should expect. A lot of brands get tighter, but really the specs on a movement like this is like minus 20 to plus 40 seconds a day. But your run-of-the-mill quartz watch, cheapo battery is going to blow away any automatic on accuracy any day of the week. Sapphire crystal. So this sapphire means it is very hard. It is scratch resistant, not scratch proof, but scratch resistant. So most things that you knock into will not scratch it, so it'll stay looking new for a long time. And ditto on the ceramic bezel. So the bezel itself is very hard, this black part. So it will stay looking like new for a while. Dual time markings mean instead of a conventional 60-minute marking on the bezel, it's marked from 1 to 12. And you can use that to set a second time zone. So if you want to measure a time zone that's 1 hour ahead of you, let's say, you put the 1 at the top, and in that time zone, if I read off the outer ring here, it is 3:50. Got it? It's pretty easy to follow. Screw down crown was obvious. The crown screws down, helps maintain water resistance. Like I said, this thing is 200 meters of water resistance, so good for recreational diving and stuff. Technically not an ISO certified diver, only one of them in the bunch is. And I guess I'm going to try to remember to talk about that when I get to it. But that's your Phobus Voyager, $310. That's what you get with Phobus. So of course I'll throw my own hat in the ring for my own model. This is an Islander Bayport. The Bayport is a 40 millimeter watch, so it's just slightly larger than the one you just saw. Also 13.5 thick, 48 on the lug to lug. It is an anti-reflective sapphire crystal. Again, it is a ceramic bezel. It is 20 millimeters. It is solid end link. It is sized with screws. It is a 3-position micro adjust bracelet. 200 meters of water resistance, $299. So price very similar to the Phobus. So some of the things that I just talked about, again, I did say anti-reflective, so let's just be clear on what that means. The Phobus was also AR, they call it AR, anti-glare, anti-reflective. I've done watch and learn videos on the topic. Simply means that for reflected light, there is a coating on the inside of the crystal, and it knocks out some of the waves of light that are coming back at your eye. It does not knock them all out, it knocks out some of them. But on a domed crystal, like that Phobus, it's really hard to knock out glare because it's domed. But on flats, you can knock out glare pretty well. This one also had the sapphire crystal, and then it had the ceramic bezel. Something that I just mentioned, micro adjust. So when you're sizing the watch, rather than just moving the links, you can use micro. And a lot of bracelets have a very similar system. There's 3 holes here, held in with a spring bar. You just walk that spring bar along to one of these holes. The spring bar just compresses. It is like a shower rod or a closet rod. It's just held up under its own spring force. And you can move it to one of these holes to make it tighter in the winter, looser in the summer, or with, changes in your weight or wrist size or whatever. Size with screws means, of course, just a screwdriver. No special tools needed other than a screwdriver to size it. And a solid end link means it's not folded at the end, so it won't rattle, won't dangle. It makes a much nicer fit to the case. Lastly, this watch has negative end links. Let me bring up my friend the Phobus again. This had positive end links. Do you see how when it comes out of the lug, it's going straight and then the bracelet bends down? Compare that to the Islander. So negative end links, female end links, it kind of just bends right in. It's articulated at the watch. This is a beautiful green dial Bayport. Bayport comes in 3 colors. There will be more colors coming later this year. $299. So $310 for the Phobus, $299 for the Islander. So this one's really nifty. This is a Spinnaker Bradner. It's a really beautiful watch. Beautiful blue, deep blue dial. This one's going to be at $285. So a little less expensive than the other two. But Spinnaker, definitely a larger brand than Islander, I can tell you that much. Definitely a larger brand than Phobus, so we're kind of going up in brand size. It is 42 millimeters in diameter, so it's a little bit bigger. It's 14 thick to a flat sapphire. This one's a little bit thicker than the other guys. I actually didn't write down the lug tip to lug tip. It's not really a full review, so I'm okay skipping it. It is a 20 millimeter lug. It comes in a leather strap though, so that's part of your price drop. Because when you ditch the stainless steel and go with leather or rubber, it is of course slightly less expensive at the sell price. Water resistance is 180 meters, kind of a weird number, but that's the way it is. It is a screw down crown. It is powered by a Seiko NH35 movement. This is a compressor style case. Maybe a little more advanced knowledge, but it's not a true compressor case. If you look back to vintage watches, I don't know, maybe it was like the 70s or so, compressor style had the 2 crowns here. And what compressor style means is the deeper the watch goes underwater, the tighter the seals of the watch get. So pretty cool design, but this is compressor style, meant to look like one. When I flip it over, this has an exhibition case back. Exhibition means I can see the movement. That black thing moving that says Spinnaker on it, that is the rotor, and that is what winds the watch. The NH35 movement that's in here is a bi-directional winding watch, which means when it goes like this, or when it goes like this, it is winding the watch. There are unidirectionals. None of the watches I'm showing you today are uni. That means it only spins one way. Miyota 9015, uni-winder. If you pop the watch against your hand, you'll actually hear the whirring inside if you can get the rotor spinning the right way, because it's spinning with zero resistance. Can you overwind an automatic watch? Not really. There's no clutch mechanism inside, but what there is the mainspring is coiled up in the barrel, and after the spring reaches full wind, the actual end of the mainspring is not attached to the barrel, so it eventually just starts sliding around the inside of the barrel. So you cannot overwind them. Should you wind the heck out of them every morning? No, you really shouldn't. If you wear them every day, just wear them every day. Don't wind them. Some watches don't like being hand wound excessively. ETA 2024 is a great example because the winding gears are not as strong as the auto wind gears. The hand winding gear is not as strong as the auto wind gears, so you wind up with a little premature gear wear at times. Top crown just turns the interior bezel. Pretty cool, right? That's not on the outside. That's underneath the crystal. All these watches are going to use lume, super luminova, which is a passive lume, which means you light it up with a flashlight, and then when you kill the lights, it will light up. Obviously, I'm in a ton of light right now. I'll do a quick lume at the end, but none of these are active illumination or radioluminescence, which is like tritium. This is all passive luminescence. You charge it in the daylight or in your office, whatever. You go to bed at night, it releases a little bit of glow all night. The idea behind Super Luminova is that you should be able to read it by morning with adjusted eyes. This is a very, very, very important note. Adjusted eyes means you've been sleeping all night, 6 hours, 7 hours, and you wake up and you look at it on your nightstand before you look at any bright source. You look at the watch, and you should be able to tell the time. Spinnaker Bradner, $285. Okay, let's go up to one of the larger boys. Let's see, so this is an Orient. I'm looking for my notes. Here it is. This is the Komatsu. The Komatsu was kind of the upgrade to the Orient Ray and Mako, which are classic watches. Probably the best value for money watch at $170 or so. This is the Komatsu, though. This is an upgrade to those watches. They were originally called the Mako 3. $269. It comes in a bunch of different dial colors. Beautiful, beautiful red. Sapphire crystal. 40, just shy of 42 on the diameter. Pretty thin though, 12.8 thick to that flat sapphire. 46.5 on the lug tip to lug tip. It is a solid screw down case back, 200 meters of water resistance. What are we missing now over or under the kind of the smaller brands? Well, we got sapphire, which is great, but the bezel itself is aluminum. So this will scratch over time. It's not going to light up. Only the pip at the 12 is going to light up, but it's an inexpensive aluminum bezel insert. We sell aftermarket bezels. You could dress this bad boy up to have a sapphire insert or a ceramic insert. Yes, I've done videos on them. Maybe story for another day. The bracelet itself, it's decent, but you'll notice now we have hollow end links, so you can see the difference. These are folded end links. They are inexpensive. But the bracelet is a negative or female end link, which is cool. But the bracelet itself is sized with push pins. So you just push them out in the direction of, whoops, you see the arrow here? You push those pins out. They're split pins like cotter pins. Size it and you push it back in. What else is different, or what are we, I don't want to say cost cutting, but it's a big brand. They have a lot of marketing and stuff. The clasp is certainly not as nice. It's just a stamped clasp. 4 positions of micro adjust, which is nice, but it is a stamped clasp. There is no diver's extension. But hey, none of the other ones, did the Phobus have a diver's? No, it did not. So none of the others had diver's extensions anyway, but it's definitely a less expensive clasp, end link, and bezel insert. But it's a beautiful, beautiful watch. This is powered by Orient's F6922 in-house movement. This is their own caliber movement. They make it. Orient one of the only companies that can make an affordable movement. The other one obviously being Seiko, which if you didn't guess by now, it is coming. Let's see, it's a 22 millimeter lug width. The Coma comes in red, comes in blue, black, green, lots of great colors, great watch, screw down crown. Orient, to me, the king of affordable divers. Beautiful. And we need to address the big boy in the room, the Seiko Turtle. This is the Turtle reissue because the original Turtles are like 40 years old at this point. These came out 8 years ago, 7 years ago, still going strong. This is the original SRP 777, now renumbered to SRPE 93. This is the only ISO certified diver you're going to see today. It is also the most expensive you're going to see today, $372. It is a 45 millimeter case, that classic Turtle case. 13.3 thick to a flat sapphire crystal. Again, older listing, don't have the lug tip to lug tip, probably 48 or so. I believe it is like an SKX, like a 48. 22 millimeter lug, comes on a nice Seiko branded rubber dive strap. These are actually very soft straps, not like FKM straps, but they're still rather soft and supple. Seiko branded hardware and stuff like that. Endorsed by PADI, Professional Association of Dive Instructors. The watch itself, let's see, it's got 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, Hardlex crystal. Hardlex is basically Seiko's answer to what mineral crystal is. All the other watches you saw are sapphires. This is the only one with mineral crystal. So this will scratch if you're not careful. You bang it up against something, a wall, a doorknob, anything, door frame, it's going to scratch on you. It's part of the ProSpec series, that X at the bottom. ProSpec stands for Professional Specifications. It is still 120 click unidirectional ratcheting bezel, like a lot of the others that you saw, but it is also an aluminum bezel insert. We sell parts. You can upgrade your bezel to be something sapphire or ceramic to look a lot nicer. Seiko uses their own compound to glow. It's called Lumibrite. It's like Super Luminova. It's going to glow a nice, healthy green when the lights go down. Seiko, in my opinion, king of Lume. They do an awesome job. This is powered by Seiko's own 4R36 movement. So basically, Seiko makes the movements in everything but the Orient that you saw. 4R36 becomes an NH36 when the Seiko rotor comes off. 4R35 becomes an NH35 when the Seiko rotor comes off. So basically, Seiko made all these other brands possible, especially Islander, and that is never, ever going to be lost on me. So what the heck does ISO 6425 mean? Well, ISO 6425 allows them to write that word divers on the dial. You notice none of the other watches said divers on the dial. That means it's tested to a whole bunch of things, but one of the most important ones being it is actually water resistance tested to 25% above the value on the dial. That means this case was tested, individual one, to 250 meters in a wet test. None of the others, I mean, maybe as a quality control sample they were, but they're not required to be individually tested. That's really cool. That obviously costs money. Seiko, a big brand, so marketing costs money. So that's why this one is the most expensive at $372, and people will poo-poo on it and say, I'd rather have one of the micro brands any day of the week. And that's great, but don't forget, all those micro brands are possible because this macro brand decides to still kick around. Let's do a quick Lume shot and be done. This was certainly more talking than I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to leave it like that and turn the lights out. I know there's a glare, but whatever. Coma, Orient, Phobus, Spinnaker, Islander, Seiko. They've all had the same chance to absorb their luminosity. We'll flip out the lights and see what happens. So there you go. They all glow really, really well. You notice the Seiko on the far right probably takes the cake. The Islander does decent, the Spinnaker does decent, and the Phobus, they all do well. You'll notice, the Orient Coma, this one here. The Phobus is the only one glowing in blue. That blue is called Super Luminova BGW9. It's just a different compound. It's not fair to measure the luminosity of blue against green simply because green light emits a little more energy than blue light, but it still looks great, and it's pretty much a breeze to read. And that's going to do it. This has been Mark from LongIslandWatch.com showing you some watch brands you might want to consider if you're hopping into the hobby. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Questions, comments, concerns, anything else, put it down below. And I'll be sure to address it as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.